When I first saw the trailer for Bullet Train, it was quite a while ago. I don't even remember how long ago it was. It was so long ago, it felt like it was already out. Like I stopped seeing advertisements for it a long time ago, and I thought, oh, maybe it came out and I just missed it. And then the trailer started showing up in theaters again, and I'm like, oh, I guess that hasn't come out yet. I thought it looked really fun. That's my thought of watching it was this looks like a fun movie. And I went and saw it on Sunday. This is Wednesday. I know usually I review movies immediately after watching them. However, there was a situation, kind of an embarrassing one actually. I I watched the movie on Sunday. I came home. I made the episode logo. I made the page on the website for it. I made everything. I set everything up. I even opened up a new episode page on my podcasting host website so that literally all I had to do is record the episode, upload it, and then that would be it. That's all I had to do was record it and upload it. So then after I did all that, I sat down to record the episode. And that's when I realized that after my Because of Winn-Dixie episode, I forgot to turn off my microphone and it died. So I had to let it charge overnight. And Monday I was busy. Tuesday I was busy. Now it's Wednesday. I was busy most of the day. Now it's 10:11 at night. I'm finally recording this thing. Uh yeah, usually I try to have it's try to have it as fresh in my mind as possible. And I was tempted to go watch it again. I was seriously tempted. I it was and to tell you the truth, I wouldn't have minded because actually, hang on. Let me get through this introduction part first. Bullet Train. It was directed by David Leitch. I don't know. It stars Brad Pitt, Joey King, Aaron Taylor Green, Sandra Bullock, and then others. I feel bad for this. I don't know how to pronounce some of the other people's names. It takes place in Japan. It has a lot of Japanese actors, and I can't pronounce most of their names. I am learning Japanese. I can't speak it yet. It's also based on a book called Maria Beetle, otherwise known as Bullet Train in some countries, by Kōtarō Isaka. That's the only Japanese name I'm going to try to pronounce because he wrote the story that inspired it. That's the only one I wrote down. So yeah, I feel bad for that because the ones, to be fair, the ones I listed, they're pretty much the biggest. I think they're the biggest names in there. The main characters. Sandra Bullock isn't really. She's in it, but her voice. She is on the earpiece to Brad Pitt throughout the whole movie. You don't really see her until the end. I'm not going to spoil anything. I mean, I don't. The seeing her at the end isn't really a spoiler because she's in the trailers. Honestly, I thought she was going to be in it more. She's in the trailer so much that I thought she was going to be in the movie more, but no, she's literally in one scene. Something clever they did in the trailer. I I'm gonna toe the line on spoiler territory. I'm not gonna give away any spoilers, but I will say this: watching the trailer, because I knew it takes place on a train. Obviously, it's the name of the movie, and a majority of the trailer takes place on a train. But there are so many shots not on a train and like different scenarios and like explosions and in the desert, and I honestly thought the train was going to be just a section of the movie, and then the majority of the movie was not going to be on the train. That's what I thought. It's like, oh, okay, well they're going to be on the train for a part of the movie, but then there's going to be action scenes, and they're not really going to be on the train very long. But no, actually, this movie did a really good job at. It kind of misleads you with that, but I'm glad it did because the he gets on the train like 10 minutes into the movie, and he stays on it till the very end. What you're seeing in the trailer are flashbacks to other things, and they kind of do like Family Guy like cutaways, and it is definitely it's an action film, but it's also a comedy. This film is hilarious. Like I don't know how many times. Like I was laughing so much in this movie, and then like everyone else in the theater was laughing, and like the action was great, and the every character in here was unique and had their own. Like, it was like own character. There were individual characters. There was no, as far as I know, like one note characters. Like you see, like oh, here's a hitman, and he's just this one thing. But no, like each one has. I would love if this movie. Okay, actually, I wouldn't love if this movie did this, because so many movies do it. But I love the idea of this movie getting spin-offs with most of these characters getting their own spin-off. But I know if they were to announce that this is the thing that was going to happen, I would just kind of like roll my eyes and be like, oh no, why? This was a good standalone. I would love more movies like this though. Like maybe a sequel, I don't know. Something like this. It's from the director. It's from not the. I don't know if he's the director or the writer or producer of. I think he's the producer of Deadpool too. I don't remember, but it's definitely there. You can tell this had something to do with Deadpool, and but it's not just pointless like slapstick humor. I mean, it's a very funny movie, but it's also very clever. It's a very cleverly written movie. There's like references, like everything references each other. Like there's things that happen at the beginning that come back in later. And it happens in like this movie kept me guessing. Like there's nothing in here that was like, oh, I know how this is gonna happen. It leads you to think you know what's gonna happen most of the time, and then it surprises you. There's like so many levels of rugs they kept pulling. It's like, oh, there's no more rugs to pull. Oh, nope, there's another one. Yeah, like I just this movie just kept me guessing to the end, and it was so clever. Like, I just dropped my phone. I messaged a friend of mine after this movie ended, and I literally told him that this movie is contender for movie of the year for me. And he was like, movie of the year? And I was like, contender for the movie of the year. It probably will not be movie of the year, but this is definitely going to be high up there on the list. I, there's so much I can say about this movie, but I can't talk about this movie because it'll give everything away. Like, I don't want to give too much away because, again, there's so many surprises in this movie. Like all I can do is say that, like, things come back, things that happen, or even throwaway lines at the beginning, or like sum up the whole plot at the end. Like there's a line I completely forgot about. Like Brad Pitt's character says something, and like one of the first thing he says in the movie, and I quickly forgot about it because I'm thinking it's just a throwaway line, but it basically at the end it like comes back, and it's like, oh, this is like this sums up the whole thing. This is why everything's happening because of this one thing he said. It goes back to that, and then it's like, wow. But again, I can't. I feel like that's even kind of spoiler because now you're going to be paying attention to everything he says. He says a lot at the beginning, but there's just one thing he says that comes back later. And I was like, and even whenever that moment happens, it cuts back to that. It's like, up, see that's where we referenced it. And I was like, that was so clever. The movie is full of moments like that. Not all of them as good as that, but like so many things, and there's kind of like three separate stories going on at the same time that converge at the end. Like by the end, all three stories converge into one, and they're all connected somehow. And I just love this movie so much. I knew I went in with high expectations. I'm like, this movie. I had so much hope for this movie, and it far exceeded everything. And I love that. It's, one thing I love about like this year especially is especially like in theaters like before in years past you go to the theaters and you see trailers. The trailers are for movies: sequel, remake, reboot, sequel, prequel. This year it's mostly original films. A lot of it is indie films, but then you get one like this, like Brad Pitt, like freaking Brad Pitt is the lead actor in this, and I don't see anybody talking about it. Like I posted on Facebook, and I'm seeing Bullet Train, and I had a bunch of people commenting, "Bullet Train, what's that?" And I posted the video of the trailer, and people are like, "Oh, I love Brad Pitt." It's like, yeah, how is it that this movie, like, it feels like if this was, I think it's because I don't know, like the whole like post pandemic thing, like not a lot of people going to theaters, but like I feel like if this movie was released pre pandemic, it would probably have gotten so much more like media attention because I don't see anybody talking about this. There's a lot of movies that I don't hear about unless I see it in theaters. Like there's so many movies I want to see. Like last week I went and saw Vengeance. Um, I forgot his name. Like BJ Nomad, I think his name is. I don't know. I've seen his name a million times. He's Ryan on The Office. He directed and starred in that movie. And I literally only know that movie because I've seen the trailers in theaters. Like nobody else is talking about it, and I liked it. Not enough to review it. I mean, I wanted to review it, but it's like I don't have enough to talk about. This movie, like. I wanted. I could just. This would be the shortest episode if I just end it now. I really should have just not turned my microphone left on. I should not have left my microphone on because I would have said so much that night, and most of it's gone. I should have recorded it directly on my phone. You know what? Retrospect, I could have just recorded it onto my phone. Anyway, I know that when I started this podcast, I said that a 10 out of 10 is a rare rating, that you don't see that very often. I don't rate movies 10 out of 10 very often. And now this is the third movie. This is the ninth movie that I've reviewed, and this is the third 10 out of 10 that I've given. Because I could find things to complain about, but then at the same time, like, I can't think of anything to complain about. Because it does everything I would want it to do. There's not a lot of movies, it's like, okay, I don't know how to say this without contradicting myself. Because, like, you don't know, like, I'm just speaking from my experience now. I didn't know where this was going, but there's things I wanted it to do. Like as the story's going, it's like I hope they do this, and they do it. Of course, a majority of the film I was surprised, but in the moment, like everything they could have done, they did. There's not much I could think of that they didn't do that they could have done with this story, and there's not a lot of movies that I could think of that's like, oh, they could have done this, they should have done that. No, they did everything they could with the story, and I am completely satisfied with it. I legitimately would have gone back to see this tonight if I had time. Because by the time I thought about it, it was like 9 o'clock, and I'm pretty sure I didn't even look. I'm pretty sure the last showing was like because I saw this movie 9:15 Sunday night, I think, or was it 7? I don't know. I think it was 6:15. I saw it. Usually, no, it was Vengeance was 9:15, and that was the last showing of the day. So by the time I thought about it, it would have been too late to see. But anyway, I would have gladly seen it again in theaters. Which is what I highly recommend you do. Go watch this movie in theaters. I don't know if it's going to streaming. I'm pretty sure it's going to streaming. There was a lot of people that had seen this though. What's funny is I don't see anybody online talking about this. But I told my coworkers I went and saw Bullet Train, and they were all like, "Oh, that movie is so good!" Like 2 different coworkers had seen this movie, so like it's getting attention. It's just not highly talked about online. I feel like a contradiction. I feel like I'm contradicting myself, but like it makes sense to me. Like nobody's talking about this movie, but everyone's seeing it, but no one's seeing it. I don't know. I'm I'm not spoke good very well.